All over, everywhere today. A young female student violently assaulted in her classroom. What are those officers on campus called, Deanna? You used to have problems with them. What are they called?
Oh, no.
Scotty Beam?
I had a detective green.
A detective. But they have campus names or something, right?
Yeah,
These
I don't know
officers
what their
that are on
names were,
campus.
but I know we had like two of them. It was Detective Green and some other guy, but he never really put
This officer's name is Ben Fields. He's inside the school here. This took place in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Officers way out of line. Everyone's upset at me today because I asked a simple question. What happened that caused this officer to treat this student this way? And why wouldn't this student comply with the teacher's request to leave the classroom? So I guess I, as a thinking human, am not supposed to think outside of a 15-second viral video. I'm just supposed to jump emotionally to conclusions based on a 15-second viral video because the officer's clearly out of line.
Yeah, he's clearly wrong.
But I don't know what led to this moment because the teacher in the classroom is allowing it to happen. A black male teacher in the classroom is watching the officer ragdoll this girl in front of the rest of the students. So my immediate thing was like, why is he doing that? Well, what?
You have to question it. When you brought this up, bro, I agree with you. I question it too. What happened? Because one thing that we don't talk about all the time is all the trouble and all the craziness that teachers have to go through nowadays.
Teachers have no protection.
No protection whatsoever. A student can beat up a teacher and she has to stand there and take it. She can't fight back.
So
she can't fight back.
And it could be look, based on what we know now about the officer, he's an a-hole idiot, out of line, and we don't know why he still has a job on this campus.
Yes. That's what we know.
That's what we know now, because he's got a history of people coming out saying they did something to a pregnant woman. He did something to he's got a history. A pregnant student. He's got a history.
Yeah, he's clearly wrong.
Then I, not knowing, asked the question on social media. Well, what got us here? Everybody's upset. Was I wrong for asking that question?
Absolutely not. You need to know what happened. You need to know the details of how it got there.
Let's see the facts, because everybody's gonna say, Laura Styles, you got my back all the time. So they're not gonna.
No, it's not about that. This is my opinion because I know the craziness that teachers go through. And maybe we can have some teachers call up. I've seen it. I've heard it. And listen, like I said, I agree with you. The officer was clearly wrong, but I need to know what happened. What brought us to that?
800-223-9797. Rosenberg.
No. I think you. I'm just interested in what you guys think. But all I'll say is, you're saying the officer's wrong. That doesn't make the student right. We don't know.
We don't know.
We know it's
because the first thing I thought was
happened.
like, yo, why is the teacher letting this happen? So this girl, she just stabbed somebody in the hallway? They're just like when I was in high school, a girl beat up the student nurse with her book bag. The student nurse was 65 years old. Marissa Mendez laughs.
Well, she's a piece of.
That's not funny.
This was a 16-year-old student, a basketball playing athletic woman, beat another woman. What? Snatch her up.
Ebro, what did the teacher say when asked? Did he comment?
The teacher said, well, she should have complied with the officer. She should have done as she was told. That's what I heard on social media.
Listen, you have Scotty Beam, who's very upset about this. You see it. You're upset about it, but you see it a different way. Let's see what the Fox say.
Because Scotty Beam was one of those knucklehead students that wouldn't listen to teachers. Got snatched up in high school.
No. I only got snatched up for fighting.
Only.
That was it.
That was your way of cleaning it up? Get out of here.
There's a video virally moving around of a crazy police officer, an a-hole officer on campus ragdolling a girl. Everybody's mad at me because when I saw the video, the first thing I asked was, what did the girl do? Why would he even do that? Why would this be allowed? Why did the teacher just let this happen? What's going on? But I guess I was supposed to just be mad, blindly upset from a 15-second video. Anonymous teacher, hello.
Hello. What's up, Ebro?
So you work on these campuses and you've seen instances like this where students are going toe-to-toe with faculty. Crazy things are happening.
Yeah, well, in the setting that I work in, we actually go through that, I would say, at least 5 or 6 times a day.
A day?
A day.
What? Where are you?
I'm in Lower Manhattan, Chelsea.
Yo, by the projects over there?
Yeah.
Is that crazy over there?
Most of the city schools are like that right now.
Yeah, city schools are out of line.
Like
well,
80%.
hang on, guys. So, anonymous teacher. So, have you seen this video?
Yes, I actually just saw it.
And what was your thought when you saw it?
It looked like a typical day to me, to be honest.
A typical day, meaning an officer on campus putting their hands on a student.
Not an officer, though. So, for example, what I do is something called, I'm a crisis specialist. So I'm called in when a child is refusing to leave a classroom or is a physical harm or verbal disturbance in a classroom. So I'm to escort them either to my office or some sort of padded room.
And what padded rooms on campus?
Damn.
Wow. And what in your role, what are you allowed to do and what are you allowed to not to? A student assaults you or tries to beat you with their books or stab you with something. Like, what are you allowed to do?
I'm to protect myself at any cost, but of course try to restrain the student. I place them in holds. Like a physical hold until they start to reason and understand the power of one person over another. And once they get their senses back, I release them.
Now, I also got in trouble on social media because I said frequently from the people that I know in education that I spoke to, frequently when a student is this defiant, either there's some mental or emotional issues, but aside from that, it's normally because the parents aren't active in the school and knowing the faculty, and oftentimes those parents disrespect the faculty as well.
This is 100% true. So,
Good job, Ebro.
Example of a parent-teacher conference, we maybe have a 15% rate that show
15% of the parents show up to meet the teachers.
Wow.
So for a lot of these kids, believe it or not, we're the second dads, we're uncles, or aunts, or moms. We're the only ones that are actually involved in caring.
Yo, thank you for taking time. I know you got to get to class, bro. I appreciate your phone call.
No problem.
All right, thank you. This was one of my favorites from social media. We're talking about the video that went viral of the police officer, the a-hole cop, ragdolling this girl. Everybody's mad because I asked the question of what happened before he ragdolled her like that.
Right.
We have Sean, and I got this frequently too. What if that was my daughter?
Yes.
Well, here's a couple things. A, it wouldn't be my daughter because when she was told to leave the classroom the first time, she would have left.
I'm just saying, Ebro, anything could happen in that situation.
Anything can happen. When anything can happen. I've been in multiple situations, me myself in schools, where I'm wearing somebody out in the locker room, I'm wearing somebody out in the hallway. And when faculty comes and tells you to chill, you chill.
Of course, you should listen to people telling you what to do. But when this guy is going to flip over the girl in the chair and drag her like that, come on, that's not right, bro.
I'm not saying it's right. Never said it was right. All I did was ask the question, what did it do to get here? Because if she was told to leave the classroom 2 times, was it because she had done something to harm somebody?
Right.
Was it because...
What they saying is she was on her phone, and the teacher asked her to put the phone away.
Yeah, so that's way out of line. You can't do that. And that's why and look, this officer has a history of problems.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So why should I worry about what happened before?
Because I didn't know that when I saw a 15-second video.
Come on, Ebro. If that's my child, Ebro, I don't care about the 15 seconds. I'm going to deal with my child.
Yeah, but you're not even making any sense right now, bro.
And I will say this, and to not worry about what happened before means that you're just allowing your child to do whatever they want, because all you're worried about is, that's like the parents that show up and want to know why their teacher's mean to the child. Why do you give my child a hard time? It's like, your child's a terrible student. They're disruptive. They're making things bad for other kids. You can't just say you don't care what they did.
You can't do that, man. Richardson from the Bronx.
What's up? How you doing today?
Good, man. What'd you want to say? You said we don't know the officer had to act if the kid was in defiance. What are you saying?
Yes, I was saying pretty much we didn't know what went down prior. The officer could have been asking the kid to, get out the class and so forth, and the kid could have said, no, I'm not getting out. The officer have to escalate his way of thinking.
No, the officer's out of line because if it's true that it was just over a phone, for him to put his hands on a little girl in the classroom, that's absolutely wrong.
But you didn't know exactly what happened. He could have been trying to do the thing peaceful, like, can you please get out of the classroom? If you had
but you still can't. Look, the only time I would be okay The only thought that I had where that scenario in that video would be okay is if that girl had tried to physically harm somebody before that thing started being filmed. And even then, it's still
even then the toss isn't necessary.
Right, but even then he could have.
The whole thing is, if you try to get somebody out of the classroom that's disrupting the classroom, and clearly they're not listening, how would you go about
move the whole desk?
How would you give that person
move the whole desk?
The classroom?
He threw her across the room.
Yeah, there's no.
I mean,
even if bro, even if he dumped her out of the chair, I can get past that part. Now the person's on the ground. Pick them up and carry them out.
Yeah, there was no need for that toss.
A person. That's very dangerous. You can't toss someone like that.
You can't throw people like that. But I still gonna ask the question.
What happened?
How did we get to that point? Keisha from the Bronx.
Hi, good morning.
You want to say it doesn't matter what happened?
No, because I understand wanting to know the events that led up to it and having a full story, because without that, our opinions will be biased. But I think in this case, it's irrelevant because she was excessively violent. Like, he's a person of authority. It's not two quote-unquote civilians. It's a 14-year-old girl who was absolutely wrong, who needed to be disciplined. But he was extremely excessive.